Welcome to another video. Today I'll be reading some of my short stories to you that I wrote some few years back. Not few years back, maybe more than a year and a half. Because I've ran out of video ideas. And also, I want to make this video so that when I get famous in the future, you might look back to this video and say, well, this guy was shit. There's still hope for us. So the first story is flash fiction. If you don't know what a flash fiction is, it's basically shorter than a short story. 500 words or less than 1000 basically, and it's titled Late. Ali donned his school uniform after eating breakfast and with an unkempt hair got ready to go. He then realized that his shoelaces were not tied. He went to his mother. She was changing the diaper of his baby sister. "Tell Amina to tie it for you," she said. He quickly went to his sister's room, but she was already out of the gate, heading for college since she was late too. Then he thought of his father. Unfortunately, he was having breakfast, though in a rather hurried way because he was late for his job, and it wouldn't do to anger him on days like this. Frustrated, he went back to the other room to find his mother, and didn't find her there, nor in the kitchen. Ali was in the courtyard when he heard her voice coming from outside. There she was, the baby in her arm, while she scolded the milkman. He had arrived late for delivery. The latter was using all kinds of excuses for his late arrival, for he had taken the money beforehand. "What's the use of this milk now?" argued his mother. It's 8 o'clock already. Take this milk back and return the money." The milkman apologized and promised to deliver with impunity the next time. Ali waited no longer and headed out, lest he should be forced to explain his late arrival to the teacher. On the way he met a homeless man, who ushered him and said, "You forgot to tie your shoelaces." He blushed and said, "I can't do it." Then the homeless man bent down and tied his shoelaces. That day he was scolded for arriving late for class, and the next day his parents scolded him because he had said to one of his friends that he would become a homeless man in the future. The teacher had overheard his resolution and reported to his parents. So the theme of this story in my mind at the time when I was writing it was that everyone is so busy, and being the naive child that he is, he thinks that since my family members are busy and they can do the most simple thing, tie my shoelaces for me. In his mind, the right thing to be when he grows up is a homeless man because at least he has the time to do such things. The next story is also a flash fiction. It's called The Apple Trees. One fine summer day, some apples had a conversation on a tree. One of them, a ripe, fully red one, said, "I have higher rank than all of you. If anyone wants to pluck from these trees, I'll catch their attention first." Then another on a higher branch replied, "I am ripe and have a better position than you. Anyone would think that I've been less touched by the flies." Here they began to quarrel. A half-ripe apple tried to intervene with complimentary words on both of their qualities, but the first one simply said, "Mind your own business. What gives you the permission to meddle in our affairs?" The two ripe ones began pointing out each other's flaws, meanwhile the other apples were quite entertained by their arguments. At last a small apple shouted at the top of his voice, "It doesn't matter, we are from the same tree." There was a profound silence. The small apple had thought his words had finally had some meaning, and others were prepared to listen to it and respect it. Then a gale of laughter followed from the two ripe apples and a couple of rotten ones below. The ripe one on the higher branch said, "He doesn't know anything, that's obvious because he is still green." These words made the little one sad and ashamed for having spoken in the first place. As time slipped by, the ripe apples were unplucked and rotted away on their branch, and finally dropped on the ground where they became meal to the goats. The green ones developed into ripe plump apples, and the peasants came to collect them in a basket, where they were taken to be served on the table of a king. When I first wrote this, the theme was so clear in my mind. Now that I read it, it doesn't have one meaning, it has two or three. I'll let you decide what the theme of this story was. Okay, this is the last one. When I wrote it, it was like sort of sporadic, if you like, because I didn't face any obstacles when writing this, and I had mulled over the theme for some time now when I wrote this. So this is more than a flash fiction, it could be called a short story. And the title is A Farce, and you will know what this farce means. And the character of this story is Majnun. If you don't know, Majnun is a fictional character from a Persian literary classic in which he falls in love with a beautiful woman named Layla, and he becomes sort of a madman because of love. So at the time I was really running short on names, so I picked up this name because it gives that Middle Eastern kind of vibe, and I wanted the setting to be in Afghanistan, sort of. So here we go. Majnun was looking at the hills from behind the windows of his room when he spotted his nephew crying near the gate. He hurried downstairs and ran to the courtyard. Upon reaching him, he asked, "What happened?" and wiped his tears. The little lad said, "He burned him. Aman put him on fire. I saw it and ran before he could get at me." "Where did you see him?" Majnun asked. "In the grounds where they throw the garbage." Majnun grew indignant and felt a burning in his chest. He ran upstairs and told his brother about the incident. The latter had just taken a bath. He quickly donned his clothes and both headed out with clubs in their hands. Majnun's brother spat several times during the way and said, "I knew that rascal would kill the poor guy one day. He couldn't have chosen a worse method to kill him. The whole village will take revenge. You don't worry," Majnun assured his brother. They walked on the side of the hill towards Iqbal's house. They decided to inform two of their friends too. The sun had gotten near the mountains afar. They quickened their steps lest they get there after sunset, for they needed to inform Lala too. They arrived in time and knocked on the wooden gate of Iqbal's house. The latter opened it and gave a once-over of the two brothers and their clubs, and asked solemnly what had caused them to appear so and bang on the gate so loud. Majnun said, "Brother, my nephew said he saw Aman burn that poor thing and escape, so he shouldn't meet the same fate." Iqbal slapped his forehead. His eyes seemed to jump out of their socket, and he said, "I knew that would happen. You wait here. I'll bring my rifle in a few seconds." A few seconds later, Iqbal emerged with his AK-47, and together they went towards Lala's house. Unfortunately, they didn't arrive in time, knocked at Lala's gate at the eve of dusk when a pale moon was already hovering above the hills. Night made the killer's capture, if he had escaped, harder. "What brings you here, brothers?" Lala said, eyeing their weapons suspiciously. Iqbal said, "Don't ask too much questions now, just come with us. The devil Aman has put that poor guy on fire. I think you know him." "What? Of course I know him." "Let me bring something useful." "Oh, the poor boy." Off he scurried and returned with a shovel. Then the four headed towards the garbage ground, where the nephew had seen the burning happen. They all followed Lala. The fire of justice burned in their hearts. With what fervor would they tear the culprit apart? Yes, each one played the scenes of honor in their minds, where they satisfied the victim's family. Cursing Aman, they started to sprint should they arrive late, and miss an opportunity to contribute to the good deed. By the time they reached the grounds, it was dark. Oddly, there was no one here. "The rascal might have escaped, and the villagers might be after him," Lala said. "But where do we find him?" Here an old man with a long beard and a turban on his head walked slowly by. Majnun's brother stopped him and asked, "Is the villain Ahmad on the run?" The old man sank into a deep reverie, and after a few seconds said, "Which Ahmad? There are hundreds of them in this village." "The one who put someone on fire," he replied. "I don't know about such things," the old man said, and he walked ahead, leaving them muttering curses after him. Majnun's brother suggested they head for their uncle's house, which was a 5 minutes walk from here. Majnun assented and said they were foolish not to have gone there first, since his uncle was a senior, and every matter of importance would have been first reported to him. They reached in due time. When they told their uncle about the incident, this was his response: "Unless I've been asleep and nobody cared to tell me about the events of such a wild nature, that someone being put on fire in my neighborhood, I believe it is a farce." They mused for some time, giving each other awkward glances in the intervals, and finally Lala said, "I believe your uncle might be right. If there really was any such things happening, it wouldn't have been so quiet here." Then the uncle asked who had told him of the fake incident. After hearing all, he said, "You should be ashamed of taking a child's word so seriously. And look at your weapons. Go home now, it's already late." On the way, Majnun turned to Lala. "You said you knew Ahmad and that day he would kill that poor guy." He was silent for a few seconds and then replied in a soft tone, bordering on a whisper, "Brothers, that's true, I know Ahmad. In fact, I know many Ahmads. But when I saw how serious you all looked, I didn't care which one of them had done the deed, but I was ready to serve my village in any way I could." The rest shook their heads. Their uncle was a comical man and was sure to spread the news of their bravado to the rest of the village. This thought caused them anguish, and Majnun's brother turned to him. "It's all because of your foolishness. Why did you take my son's gibberish seriously?" Majnun snorted and answered, "Why, you were so ready to kill that Aman guy when I told you the news. If you had any sense, you would have known my foolishness and stopped me." Like this they argued, blaming each other, and parted to their house finally. One thing was certain: the nephew had to be interrogated for making a spectacle of them. Once home, Majnun's brother caught hold of his son's ear and asked, "There was no burning of such. Did I raise you to lie? The boy whimpered and recounted everything, swearing that it was all true, that Ahmad did burn the poor thing, that he had boasted the days before of having a rat in their house. Today he had brought the rat's corpse and poured oil over it and lit a match. During this, Ahmad had threatened to put the dead rat on his shoulder. Hearing this, the nephew had sprinted back home while a couple of Ahmad's friends had laughed and gave him chase. Between tears and sobs, he concluded that he would never again play with Ahmad or even go near his house. The father's face grew crimson and he started beating the poor boy. The end. So the theme of this short story was how people tend to rise towards action. They were spurred towards action without thinking. And this was partially inspired by the story of the girl who was burned in Afghanistan because they thought that they had burned the holy book. I saw that video a few years back of this group of men who weren't personally harmed by these women, and they had gathered to torture her, basically put her on fire and beat her to death. And the idea of these people learning that someone had been wronged, that triggered their heroic side, and they immediately thought of doing the right thing, which in their mind was to basically rush towards action and serve justice. When they went to each other to inform each other of the news that someone had been put on fire, without really thoroughly thinking who had been put on fire and why, they immediately rushed towards action, which is to band up together and go in. So the theme of this story was the herd mentality, the idea that people get a certain kind of power when they are together, that logic doesn't reside when you're with each other and there is a foe to vanquish. If you noticed, there was a line in this story: the fire of justice burned in their hearts. With what fervor would they tear the culprit apart? Yes, each one played the scenes of honor in their minds, where they satisfied the victim's family. Back in the day when the women was burned alive in Afghanistan, that's basically what went in the minds of the people who did the act. Basically, they thought that they were serving justice. These women deserved this, and each one thought of themselves as heroes. They got that feeling of heroism because they saw other people doing that act. Because the herd mentality was strong, they thought that this was the right thing. Anyways, that was the end of the video. Forgive my nasal voice because I've caught a cold, I think. And yeah, leave a comment down below, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.